biochemical analysis of food, and after the primary agriculture processing is done, then it gets into actually processed foods is when we have our mandate. But then the CEO kind of said, okay, let's also try to understand what exactly happens with small farmers. Can we do a small farmer consultation? Can we have some small farmers coming and explaining? And what was shocking was that in the small farmer consultation, when the FSSAI experts and the scientists sat down, for the first time, they were hearing about indigenous ways of processing, like making jaggery in a small scale, having small hand-pounded paddy units or hand dal mills. They were hearing all this for the first time because they were given with a set of standards, organic processing standards, which again was prepared by the industry back in the 80s when the export certification was designed. So this set of standard was provided saying that every farmer in this country should follow these standards. And these standards clearly say that there should be certified processing units to which the farmers should take their produce wherever they are. In many instances, the certified processing units are probably 300 kilometers away from the farmers' communities. So this is what the standards say. And then it was a continuous, I think it was 6 months of back and forth between the Ministry of Agriculture and the FSSAI, figuring out on where is the connecting link between where the Ministry of Agriculture stops its mandate or on certification, and from where is FSSAI going to actually pick it up. So there was this broken link, which neither the Ministry of Agriculture nor the FSSAI authorities wanted to really work. So it was a very clear technology platform given saying that, look, we don't care. As long as you finish your process there and then put all the details on this platform here, and then we plug our API to this platform and we pick up information from there. So we said, how are we going to do all this? This looks ridiculously tough and there is no way we are going to do it. And then there were actually attempts. There were attempts by us to try to put information. The systems would crash, the website wouldn't open. And we had to do a hell of a lot of things on taking screenshots, sending them mails every day, and sending them reports. I have some of them who worked on auditing the system. We actually did an extensive systems audit of the PGS system and have given them a 60-page report. And by the time we could do all this, what happened, another thing that happened was our zero budget walked into the whole scene. So 1.5 years of trying to figure out on what exactly FSSAI thinks organic food is and what their understanding of agriculture is, and then in literally educating them. And there are many of us who spend our time educating the FSSAI officials on what agriculture systems and how they work and how small farmers actually produce. So after all this, when the report was given and then I was called to one of the national advisory committees in Ministry of Agriculture to actually talk about the systems. It was a 3-hour meeting and 2.5 hours was spent talking about ZBNF systems, because apparently the CRZBNF system have developed their own technology-based platform in which they have been capturing data of the farmers and the produce on their own. And the whole dialogue was about how to now get this system plugged into this already ridiculous technology platform that the Ministry of Agriculture had. So there was absolutely no initiative and absolutely no inclination to set right this system. And the last we heard after this happened, and then there were elections and there were something else, and then they said, no, we are waiting for some more information to come and we are waiting for the systems to change because NIC is busy doing something else. And what NIC was busy doing was try to understand the ZBNF system so that they could plug here or take something from there and then make this different. So, I mean, we are ideally till today kept in the dark on what's really happening in the technology platforms that they created. Still then we had to keep the pressure on our FSSAI saying that, look, your regulation is just not going to work because these small farmers are not getting our certificates. The systems are not working and we are not getting our certificates. So we were told that you all will get 1 year's time. We are going to call this an enabling regulation. And no clue on what they mean by enabling regulation, because we do not see any kind of trainings given to the food inspectors, anything disseminated to state FSSAI commissioners, nothing, absolutely no information on how to handle the regulation in the market. And it's already been around 5 months of the enabling period, so we still have 2 more months to go. But in the whole process, absolutely no initiative for corrections or an understanding, because we have given them documents on papers and papers on explaining how agroecology-based agriculture works and how at any point in time a small farmer is likely to have 8 to 10 different produce, and how it is going to be really difficult to trace back on horticulture produce. Fresh produce which have to reach markets on time when they are fresh, and their traceability system actually carries a validation of each transaction, a timely validation of each transaction. So if a farmer is going to carry 10 kgs of vegetables to the market at 4 a.m., before that he will have to make an entry to get a transaction certificate, print it out and take it to the market so that he can claim it to be an organic produce. We actually had to simulate examples, we had to draw illustrations and show them and say that, look, this is what happens in the markets. And with all this, even till date, there has been no effort by FSSAI to actually understand or do the corrections that's necessary, because the suggestion we gave them was, you don't really have to regulate organic food like this. You can probably just stick to creating an awareness, because FSSAI carries many mandates. Other than licensing and regulation, they are also largely responsible for creating awareness on safe food in the market. So we said it is our organic food, especially the ones produced by small farmers, still needs a lot of support. So have a phase for awareness, creating awareness, and then probably take it to regulations at a later stage. But yes, at present, the last we heard was the last week, people in the bureaucratic system who were actually, I would call them evangelists, because they've been part of the organic movement and they have been influenced by people like Vandanaji and Claude. And these were the guys who were actually having same conversations with us and trying to put forth some information. And the last week we heard that they have been shifted, they have been removed from their positions. So we have no clue where we are heading towards sorting this for ourselves. And in the meantime, we have had a PGS system which has been started by community organizations like Timbuktu, DDS, all of them coming together in 2006. Parallelly, we have been working on strengthening that and trying to put forth communications to people, to consumers, basically consumers of organic food, and trying to get them to understand what actually a participative trust-based system is. And trying to communicate to consumers saying that, look, farmers are capable of managing their own production systems. With agriculture and with primary produce, yes, I agree, probably we need intervention of an organization like FSSAI if we are maybe going to make cookies or if we are going to make some process. But even then, at a small scale, like small units like papad or pickle making, I'm sure the women have much more expertise than what the FSSAI dossiers can do. Like measuring how many spoons of sodium went into it or what went to it. We don't really need so much of it in the kind of food systems that we are talking about. The smaller food systems, the better food systems, the more nutritious food systems that we are talking about. So these are communications we are trying to step up on and trying to include FSSAI in the whole process, trying to see if they can understand. So far this has been our experience with FSSAI, and if any of us think that they have, it's a 10-year-old organization, but FSSAI replaced many other adulteration acts around meat and oil, which seem to be, again, Britain introduced laws in this country, and FSSAI kind of, as an organization, set itself up like a corporate body some 10 years ago. And this is the first, this regulation it's their first effort in actually moving from the chemically processed foods to organic food. And now, at this juncture, as of last week, they have also been introduced the concept of ZDNF and things which is supposed to be. This, I think I kind of literally told my 2 years of journey with FSSAI, and this is where we stand as on today. And I know maybe many of you still probably trust FSSAI labels and those disclosures that happen. I mean, I wouldn't bother about them before when I saw them in the market, but after being in Delhi in the FSSAI office, I honestly don't trust any of this. Thank you.
Thanks for making that.
Just a few supplementary points to what Vishana has said. So as I said, the GATT has a treaty called the Sanitary and Phytosanitary Agreements, which required countries to change their food safety laws to basically corporate laws. So FSSAI, in fact, is the replacement of our sovereign food safety law, the PFA, and about 8 other laws. And the time this was brought up was interesting. Prashant, who's our lawyer on the GMO case, was fighting the Coca-Cola case because we had found out in Coca-Cola's phosphoric acid and antifreeze and all kinds of unedible products. And under PFA it was illegal. And Rajasthan had banned it, Coca-Cola, and the Supreme Court would have banned it. The lawyer of Coca-Cola says you can't try us under the Prevention of Food Adulteration because the law is changing. There will be a new law. And he shakes papers of FSSAI. Coca-Cola knew before the courts knew. Before the parliament knew. So I rang up our parliamentary friends. Said, please look for this law. So we looked for the law. And I did a short piece called Food Fascism. Because this is food fascism. And I rang up the parliamentarians when it was coming for vote. They tucked it on the same day when the nuclear vote was happening. So everyone was too focused on fighting the nuclear deal. And this went through. Now, I remember when the organic standards was being done, we were invited. We've got a clause in there which says farmers selling directly, without mediators, do not need any standard, do not need either PGS or third-party certification. So that clause is very much there. We need to turn it into a political cause. Or wherever we deal directly to build food communities. Because we fought. I remember this Agarwal sitting one side, one person whispering. And I said, who's that? He said, no, Dr. Shiva, later. And you speak last. I said, no, I'll speak first. But who's that man who's whispering? Pesticide industry, wanting pesticides in organic standards, just like in the US they want GMOs and gene editing in organic standards. And the other side was a food processing industry. And Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, safety of street foods, who advises Coca-Cola? Who does the literature? Coca-Cola. Pepsi and Coke. I mean, if you enter FSSAI in Delhi, the shelf only has junk food. And we do need a movement, a strong movement. Yeah. So because on the food system, I mean, India's food economy is the biggest economy available for grabbing. Whether it's the agriculture side, or the processing side, or the distribution side. And each of us now, to defend our right to food, is not just a farmer's issue. It's about, will we get food to eat? The thing that triggered Aruna's worry. And I think the time has come where cities and the privileged have to play the role of the shifters, using that exemption. And direct, like you're doing, directly bringing from farmers, the people who have disposable incomes and disposable time to organize must shape the agriculture transition, and we must set a target that by the time New India of 2022 happens, zero budget is in the garbage.
With the direct markets also, there is this whole redefinition of this economic systems now. In case we use a digital platform, I guess even if we use a WhatsApp platform,
No, you can't.
We can't.
No, you can't.
Yes, so
You got to throw this thing away.
yes, so it's the direct market that's allowed by FSSAI is physical. We stand on the streets and sell.
Oh, not
So
directly.
if I were to even have a retail space or a regular space in which we conduct those markets, FSSAI asks for the regulation. Or
No, if the farmers are selling there, we can't.
they can't, but yes, but they expect the farmers to sit there and sell directly and not even
Or
another
the farmers
agents.
don't. No, that's fine. If it's a farmer's place, it's fine.
FPOs, we still have conversations with them. They consider FPO as partners.
Never have a conversation with a corrupt bureaucracy before. Do the action to tell them what you do.
And I should also tell about the constitution of the expert committee for organic regulation. It has industry representatives, all of them, each one of them from each industry, because the third party certification is also an industry management. So we have 3 representatives from the certification industry and around 5 or 6 from the branded organic industry, and 2 of them from non-organic food, conventional food industry. And we have labs, massive large-scale labs represented there, and just 1 farmer. And this 1 farmer is an English-speaking farmer owning 100 acres of land in Kazyapa. And this is the constitution of the expert committee of FSSA for organic.
Sorry. What do I say? I'm only a farmer, and I work with farmers. And right now, when she says like this, our farmers cooperative processes and sells about 800 tons of food, organic food. And if it rains well, it may come up to about 1,500 tons. So how do we sell this in the market and the cooperative? With FSSAI giving us all this kind of, and we are one of the first who began doing the participatory guarantee system of organic certification. So it's kind of quite mind-blowing, and we don't know what we are up against and what is happening. Anyway, I want to talk about, our faith. For me, I began this journey almost 40 years ago, more than 40 years ago. Albert Howard called the farmers professors. We have been tilling the soil, plowing the soil for the last 5,000 years here. Till the British actually came in, historically, we have very few famines recorded. In 1940, Albert Howard did his study, the 40s, 20s, 40s. And in 24, Dr. Rudolf Steiner gave these 8 lectures. All of them talk about Indian systems of life, like one another. He talks about the cow, he talks about cow dung, he talks about urine, he talks about manure, he talks about organic matter, not in those terms as it is done now, but he basically talks about the same thing. And now, after 80 years, Indian agriculture is in crisis. And farmers are committing suicide. I wish I could have shown you some photographs of what I have seen in the last 40 years of soil degradation or soil runoff. Our agriculture has become so bad and so ruinous that it is mind-blowing. I really don't know how much soil we are losing every year. Something happened in this post the Second World War, in which we started adapting agricultural techniques that were completely wrong for us. We went into deep plowing, we went into, of course, chemicals, giving stuff from the outside. We stopped making our own compost, our own manures, and we started depending more and more on monoculture. So one of the theories that I have developed is that we are from the tropics. Monocropping may be okay, I don't know, but may work in the temperate climates. But in the tropical climates, monocropping cannot work, simply because we have so much bacterial development that we have to fool the plants by ever increasing doses of chemicals to be able to take a monocrop. You know, I've seen in certain areas like in Germany or in France, 150 kilometers of vine this way and 150 kilometers of vine this way, with a few patches of cabbage here and there. And they're able to make it survive, and some of those are organic farms. And they're able to make it survive. According to me, it's impossible to do it here, organically. I wonder why three of our most well-known religions that are monotheistic originated in the temperate climates and actually were taken up very strongly in the temperate. In the tropical climates, we have large number of species, but smaller populations. In the temperate climates, I have noticed that there are small number of species and large populations. And you can have thousands of acres of pine, thousands of acres of grape. You don't have it in tropical climates. There is something in this. Anyways, what I'm saying is that a system has been imposed on it. And we have taken it lock, stock and barrel for some reason. And we have, I feel, and when I say we, I'm talking about the farmers, have lost our connection with the cosmos. We have lost our connection with the earth. We have lost our connection with the sun, moon, stars, etc., which used to guide us in our agricultural life. You know, Rudolf Steiner talks about it. Albert Howard talked about it. Masanobu Fukuoka talked about it. And every one of these people who were pioneers in the field of agriculture and who talked about the problems of industrial and chemical farming have talked about it. To me, food is the essence of life. It's the nutrition of the soil which allows for nutrition of the human and the nutrition of the animal and the nutrition of the plant. If our soil is not healthy, our nation is not healthy. It's a simple thing. There's nothing complex about it. And our soils have over the last 80 years become hugely marginalized, hugely bereft of carbon. 1 metric ton, which is 0.3 to 0.4 metric tons. Now, UAS, which is the United, the agricultural science thing here in USA, not in the USA. Our UAS from Bangalore. So they have come up with a study which talks about the need of 4 metric tons. However, long back there were studies which said that because of the use of plow and the tillage, we have to replenish soil organic matter, and the minimum that we require is 8 metric tons of organic matter per acre. We use less than 0.3, I mean 1 metric ton, we get 0.3 in India already. So to me, the important thing is how do we get this back into the soil? I think Manjunath will be able to explain much better. Basically, when our man, zero budget, what's his name, Palekar,
call it Mr. Zero.
When Ballinger talks about, all you have to do is apply Jivamrita. Okay? And what Bijamrita, and mulch, and something else.
For passing the moisture.
He talks nothing about organic. He says this will resolve it. You know, I have tried. You have seen the green that we have grown. So I have literally tried to cover the soil with organic matter, with leaves. Okay. To be able to take the leaves out and cover the soil with leaves, 1 acre, it costs me 50,000 rupees. Okay. It's not an easy matter just to mulch. It's also not an easy matter to do your farmyard manure. But it's comparatively easy because you do it through the year. Over the year, you keep taking your cow dung, you take all this waste that the animals have fed, eaten, not eaten, and dirt, or rather soil, and home, you know, what you don't eat, the waste products, put it into the pit, and it matures over time, and then the rains come, the first rains come in May, and slowly it becomes half-baked compost. It's not real compost. And then you take that whole lot and you put it onto the soil and plow it in. It is in situ composting. Composting happens in the soil slowly, but the carbon matter is put in. Now, of course, it would be even better if we compost and then we add that into the soil and we use it. Now, all I'm trying to say is that we need actually a revolution. We have to grow our soils back. I'm convinced, I'm absolutely sure, that nature may take 1,000,000 years to get back that 1 inch of topsoil. I am convinced that we can do it within a few years. 30, 40 years, yes. I mean, compared to cosmic time, 30, 40 years is long. But we can do it. In 30, 40 years, we can change the character of our soil if we do it in this fashion. So if someone is coming and saying all you have to do is, that's not going to do anything. Basically because we are down just to our minerals. Organic matter has gone, we only have minerals, we have nothing left. And these microbes are going to eat up all the minerals. And it's not going to convert it into organic matter. And slowly we will be left with sand. And nothing else. Manjunath can explain this even better. But we need to see, Ballinger is not wrong in that sense when you look at the technique of it. But your soil has to be really good. You must have organic matter in the soil. And then you apply. It's okay. But if you don't have any soil loss and you're adding organic matter all the time, then yes, this is damn good. It's an inoculant. And we have done it forever. It was done long before Ballinger was talking about it. He never talks about Panchagavya. Panchagavya has been there forever. It's part of our tradition. And we have over 100 different concoctions of pesticides and insecticides that we use in organic. And it's nothing magical. It's been there forever. But what we need to do is we have to add organic matter to our soil, and there is no two ways about it. This is what we have. That's all I want to say. Well, what I also want to say is we need an organic policy. We desperately need an organic policy, and I really would like people like Vandana and others to do something about it. We don't have a policy, and therefore they can get away with all this kind of nonsense that they do. If we can get an organic policy down, everything about farming and
dropping the word natural, how is that going to make any sense? Right? In other words, it's a disaster that the word natural was dropped. As long as the word natural was there, it made some sense, that it was oriented around natural farming. But then there are technical problems, as Pablo has we shared, and Manjunath will share a little more later. But I'd like to focus on the fact that how does something like this become the program of a state? And the only program of a state. And to me, this has a lot to do not with farmers, but what Davos dictates. If you Google, and you'll find Rishad Premji, the Panchayat Raj Minister of Andhra Pradesh, and 25 bankers of all the biggest banks of Europe are sitting in a room, and a man called Satyat Tripathi invites Chandrababu Naidu to make a presentation. And in this presentation, Naidu basically says that I will handle the politics, you guys put the money, and I will turn all the farmers into natural farming. To me, it is not any less a draconian statement than what happened yesterday. You don't arrest a people and then decide for them. At the same time, you don't decide for an entire population of farmers. There are 18 lakh farmers, 8 million farmers in Andhra Pradesh. You don't decide for them. Whatever they may be doing, right? Of course, that Arna decides about you, for all of us. Yes. The idea here is that our political systems were designed to work with farmers from the ground up. And we can go back to the freedom movement and see what Mahatma Gandhi and J.C. Kumar talked about in terms of what does it really mean to build a ground storage. It was about understanding the intelligence of the farming community, the pastoral community, and trying to build an economy which is self-sustaining and not extractive. Which also means that you don't need to infuse too much of capital and no need of, they didn't even talk about chemicals there. It was an economy which had thrived. And Shashi Tharoor in his book, Get Out of Darkness, writes a chapter about this. And now, before the East India Company came in, 28% of global GDP was produced from India. More than a quarter of the global GDP was from India. And that is because the village systems knew how to grow things, how to process it, how to manufacture things out of it through the animate, and ensure there is a variety of skills that were available locally and which could prosper. Now switch back to what Chandrababu Naidu is saying. He's saying there is a technique and that is successful. And if you look into literature, you will not find any empirical evidence whatsoever about the success of zero budget natural farming, except for the videos that Subhash Palekar has put out, or his followers have put out. Now, one of the things I find very difficult is that we have an argumentative society. And farm is the best place to argue things out. You are arguing the soil, you are arguing the agrobiodiversity, farmers are arguing with each other, they are arguing with pastoralists. And Neelakanta Kumama is to me one of the finest persons I have met, apart from all of you. Yeah, Neelakanta Kumama is a pastoralist. He's 80 years old. And all his life he has walked with sheep. And to me, he has explained how important pastoralism has been to farming in India. That he talks about farmers being invited to be, pastoralists being invited to be with their flocks on the farm and being, sort of bribed to stay a little longer so that the soil gets formed. It was such an intricately beautiful system that we had built over time that the pastoralists would roam around, bring manure to the sheep. The sheep would manure the soil, sheep gets the grass, then you produce, and it goes on like that. Now I'm sure Andhra Pradesh farmers know that. And I'm sure they're intricately linked to this system. It is also a region where pastoralism is still alive and thriving. But you will not find any literature whatsoever about them actually being asked if they are willing to adopt zero budget natural farming. What you suddenly find in 2016 is that agreements are being signed. They are signed with European banks, Azim Premji Philanthropic Initiatives gives 100 crores of grant. And when I have checked back with Azim Premji people, I have not found any literature whatsoever. So, in the total absence of empirical evidence, the state makes a shift. And shifts to a technique in which the proponent of it does not even consider it important to have an argumentative debate. Now suppose there are many things that have been said. If we have a different point of view, we are here to argue our point, and you can argue your point. And that's how intelligence is built. Social intelligence is built that way. If suppose we were to just shout at you and say, I am right and you are wrong, it's a matter of time that you will just not find us interesting at all to even interact with. Now, what I find very difficult to understand is how you get thousands of farmers to follow a technique in which the farmers are following by faith. Now, I have no problem with faith. But when you continue that and the technique becomes a method of the state, and the state uses faith, and that gets infused with capital, both in terms of foundational grants, and what's even more important, the foundational grant is merely to make a network of educators who will go and re-educate farmers on how to shift to zero-budget farming. But the real infusion of capital will come from European banks. So my thinking last year was, why are the European banks even interested in knowing about zero-budget natural farming and then also going on to fund it? When the number was put out by the United Nations Environment Program in June last year, the number was not small. It was $10 million. They were going to invest it in Andhra Pradesh to start with. And the first tranche of money, they said, would be $2.3 billion. In Indian rupee terms, it would be 17,000 crores. When you look at the volumes of money that you take, then you wonder, because if you have looked at the finances of big projects, one of the first things you look at is, has there been a risk assessment? And you find there is no risk assessment. Are the farmers insured in case there is a failure? There is no risk assessment would mean that there cannot be insurance policy. Right? No insurer will come and say that I will insure something which is brand new unless somebody gives an assessment of what the risks are, and then they make an intelligent choice of how much they will insure it for. Later on, much later, we found that all the agreements were wrapped under Section 8 of the Right to Information Act. Now, Section 8 is very powerful section in the Right to Information Act. It gives sweeping powers to the state to ensure that we do not know what it thinks we should not know. But it is very restrictive, relating to defense and national security and such matters. And of course, fiduciary, which we won't have a quarrel with. If it is your health data I want to access, I have no business with. So such things must be kept confidential, and even the state should not have access to it. But why would contracts signed by Azim Premji Philanthropic Initiatives with the Raitu Sadhikara Samstha have to be shrouded in secrecy under Section 8 of the RTA? After all, they are speaking about farmers. And it is a technique which Palekar has openly spoken of. And it's a technique which is on YouTube. And that's when we realized that the contracts actually hide the larger aim and which makes sense when you look at the Davos meeting again. Why are the bankers there? Because the aggregation of this so-called natural farm produce is not for our consumption. They are investing so European markets are flooded with good, clean food. Our farmers have now become part of a mechanism in which they do not control what they produce, they cannot process what they produce, and as Vandana said, why is Walmart interested in that space? The largest facility of Walmart is coming up in Andhra Pradesh. I mean, Walmart is not a small thing. I remember Sainath's article a few years ago when he said, you know, onion is small, right, in India, thankfully. But if you travel west, you'll find onions which are massive, like a kg an onion. Right? And you wonder, what kind of onions are these? Because you don't see them. Apparently, Walmart hybridized the onion. Because it wanted people to buy, people will buy onions. But they wanted to make sure people buy and waste it. When they cut an onion is one vegetable which attracts bacteria very easily. So you can cut and keep it in the fridge, but next time you go and use it, you don't want to use it. You go cut a fresh onion. What you have done is thrown away 70% of it. And that's good for Walmart. And farmers were forced to shift away from small onions to big onions because of the contracts there. I'm thinking, if the network of financiers decide also what the farmers in Andhra Pradesh grow, simply because it is in the absence of chemical fertilizers. Where is sovereignty here? You see, these are very difficult questions because there are no answers. And when some of us engaged with Mr. Vijay Kumar, and we asked them, why is there so much secrecy about it? Finally, the MOU between RYSS and APPI was put online. And they redacted much of it, but the good thing there is they removed the Section 8 clause. But I've seen that agreements, financial agreements. And what worries me is the financial agreements are the ones where money flows to. And from what I've seen there, what worries me is there is so much that is happening without us even knowing about it. And they have done it over 3 years. And the 17,000 crores is a way in which you capture a state. It doesn't take much money for banks. It's not big money for them. They give hundreds of billions of dollars every year. The problem for me is how cheap we sell our farms. That they don't even know. Because if you see the Constitution of India and the Panchayat Raj Act and the 11th schedule in it, first item on the 11th schedule is agriculture and agriculture related matters are part of the Panchayat Raj system, not even the state. And RYSS is set up as a parastatal, and the chairman of it is the chief minister. Once parastatals take over, they normally listen to the diktats of the few. They're never democratic. So we have taken farming and put it in the hands of the most undemocratic parastatal that RYSS is. By design, it is undemocratic. By design, it is extractive. By design, it is dependent on financial infusion from outside. And by design, it requires large markets. It's not about local markets. It's not about farmer to consumer. It's about farmer to farmer producing organizations which are independent of the Panchayat Raj system, and they feed the extractive system which the consumer is employed with. So there's a paper I've written about this. But I just would like to close by sharing that when Nirmala Sitharaman dropped natural and put ZPF, preceding that was a bunch of, so-called discussion notes that Niti Aayog put out. And you find that a lot of parleys take place between Subhash Palekar, he meets the Prime Minister, he meets some chief ministers, and next thing the chief secretary of that state adopts. I mean, there's no thinking, no discussion. You see that happening all the time. And it should worry us that it has become so easy to take advantage of farming in India. and without any critical appraisal. And some of us who have critically appraised it have received such horrific reactions. And that worries me because these are also from some of our own comrades who are part of the organic farming or farming networks, who believe that is right. I have no problem with their belief that it is according to them right. But I wonder why they are willing to accept it so uncritically. What makes us accept this system so uncritically? Especially when we look back and see the GMO and before that Green Revolution also followed the same path, and we know what disasters followed. So on that note, I will stop and I request. You also have tea? If you like to have tea and you can come back, or will you run away? If you are running away, you won't have.
Tea after the discussion.
We'll have Manjunath, we'll have tea and then we'll have discussions. Now, this is democracy, by the way. I mean, we kind of did a ritual of democracy.
On behalf of everybody, you are taking this.
But I at least placed the bills before you, and I gave you 2 seconds to decide.
No, but are you worried people will run away?
I'm not worried.
You don't trust?
No, the tea is waiting for us is what I hear.
Yeah, it's cold.
So please come back because Manjunath has much to share. Okay?
Now we go.
Basically, I will get you some free data, interesting data. For me, it was interesting. I don't know how best to do that. And the thing is, today's per capita food consumption is 230 kg. 230 kg is the per capita food consumption. This is one of the data. I went to the famine data. 1976 famine data, which was released by British General. It says, once India is into famine, minimum food consumption should be 270 kg. After the famine, India will enjoy 270 kg per person per annum. So-called with growth, productivity, all the hybridization, introduction of GMOs, whatever it is, we are in 230 kg per capita food consumption in India. Another data is there. India stands good in pulses, good in meat, and fantastic in egg production. Now, what is this disturbing food policy is into? I'm just wondering about that. We are good in the food production, whether it is chemical food or natural food or organic food. We are good in food production. One data says we are good in food production. Second data says it is 230 kg per capita food consumption. If I link with the British famine report, it says 270 kg. So we are lesser than the British famine report. Is it okay? Okay. Now, if you go into deep study, how our agriculture production, traditional agriculture production was, we were giving more importance to fodder crops along with the food production. For example, in fact, I come from a rural area of Tumkur. If I go and tell my people to get into GPU 28, it is an ragi variety in Karnataka, one of the best yield, short duration, released by GKVK Bangalore. It is 95 to 100 days crop. If I tell my people, they will blast me. I didn't know that. Why they are blasting me? It gives something around 12 quintals, 10 to 12 quintals. All other variety like MR, HR and all, they yield something around 7 to 8 quintals. Though they get more production, they are worried for fodder. The height will be something around 4 feet. MR, GPUC is something around 2.5 feet. What about the cattle? Now, if I link up the subject slowly, the traditional agriculture gave much importance to fodder also, where we are not today. Now, though we are into fantastic food production across India, where this food is going, basically, it is for the production of feeds for the cattle. Now, who are our competitors? Our competitors are growing cattle, growing chickens, poultry, piggery, sheep. They are the competitors in food production. If you just slowly think of these things, is this the food policy by the government, whether the state or the central? Is it not give a lot of importance to pastures? In the name of productivity, in the name of growth, in the name of all the hybridization, what we are doing right now? We are creating our own cattle to be the competitors for us. Cattle has to fed with grasses, not the grains. They love more leaves. This is one context. From the traditional sustainable agriculture, are we moving to sustainable exploitation? This is my question. This is sustainable exploitation. Every year we are exploiting the natural resources in the name of productivity, growth, that is. Just to link up the subject again with zero budget natural farming, where financial is, that is everything explained by Leo. In depth we can see, read the chapters. But I will give you two basic parameters. I am not attacking Subhash Parekar. Don't take this as. I am just explaining the scientific analogy of Jivamrita. I'll quote you one interesting thing. The Jivamrita, what the whole philosophy of Jivamrita, use Jivamrita, no need to give the organic material. No need to give the organic material. Okay. If you see the soil test data, there will be something called organic carbon. Organic carbon, it will be something around 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. The standard of Government of India is 0.75. We will be something around arid zone in Karnataka, Andhra and all, we are farming with 0.3 and 0.4. And if you feed the microbe, what the microbe actually do in the soil? They attack on organic carbon, they feed on organic carbon, and then they convert the phosphorus or whatever, the unsoluble or fixed form of nutrient to soluble form. Assumption, there is no organic carbon. The organic carbon every year is depleting. And you have to keep on feeding the Jivamrita. What they will do, the microbe? They attack on minerals. If you see the soil structure, 25% of the soil is by soil A, 25% with the soil water, 45% with the minerals, and 5% with the organic matter. And now we are in 0.3% of organic matter. If you keep on applying this Jivamrita, they will start attacking on minerals. So soil is getting degraded basically. Probably in 10 to 15 years time, your arid soil will degrade itself if you don't concentrate on organic matter. So these are the funny tips. I don't know why this government of India, government of Karnataka, or whatever it is, why they have this fancy against zero budget natural farming? Is it only for the corporatization lobby? If so, why not people dictate our own policy? Why not we farmer leaders come up with our own policies? Whether in the name of natural farming, whether in the name of agroforestry, whatever it is. Natural farming is just a name. They call spiritual farming. I don't know how they call spiritual farming. Can a person be spiritual in farming? Can you be spiritual in farming? Spirituality lies within. How I behave in a society, how I respect my parents, how I respect the society, how I respect the microbes, how I respect the trees, that is spirituality. Inside the farm, if I am spiritual, getting money, boosting out daily, throwing, blasting everyone, is that spirituality? First we should understand the spirituality. You need to understand the Vedic science before that. If you don't understand the Vedic science of traditional India, you can't understand spirituality. Spiritual agriculture, nothing but spiritual farming basically, according to me, I don't know. I'm wrong. So these are the different myths which is attacking the policy. Now, the corporatization or the corporates who are getting into farming sector, I think this is one of the global sector where they can easily fool people, I think so. The corporates are getting into agriculture, starting from the seeds, like these are the masters in the dais, starting from the seeds like GMOs, hybrids, with the pesticides, weedicides. I don't know whether I quote this small story or not in the dais. Why weedicides are introduced to India? It is not to kill your weeds, basically to kill the genes of the crop. It has been stated by, you know this, who stated this theory? The Green Revolution. There was a fight between two people, Green Revolution. One is Swaminathan, another is there was a person who was fighting not to get into this Green Revolution. No, I need a scientist, Dr. Licharya. Dr. Licharya stated this philosophy. These weedicides are introduced to India not to kill the weeds basically. They are to kill the genotypes of the rice basically. At that particular time we were something around 2 lakh plus genotypes. We are now with 24,000 species. And these 24,000 genotypes has been controlled by Syngenta company in Gujarat Agricultural University. These genotypes and gene banks are not controlled by the universities of Gujarat or Government of India. It is controlled by Syngenta. I think you know this. This is the whole paramount of this discussion. So if we do not come up with a policy, is it not our duty? Is it not a democratic India? Somebody will form a corporate policy. Somebody, IAS officer, will sit in an AC room and he will write a policy on agriculture. It's not the farmers who write the policy on agriculture. What is IAS officer knows about agriculture? Do we feed agriculture? Any time in a year did he plow the land? Any time in the whole history did he raise one cycle of a crop? How can you design a policy without knowing the science of it? One who understands the science of it will design the policy, I think so. And the farmers are the one who have contributed to the policy matters. And there is no farmer's voice, I don't know why. Whether it is GMO or hybrids or natural farming, ZBNF policy, there has to be a voice. Voice has to be there. So with these concerns actually we discussed that day and we floated a draft policy. It's not a final draft policy. We are not the one who are concluding that. It is the people who are concluding that. That's the reason we have called as people's policy. I'm just quoting with respect to natural farming is concerned. It is a duty of everything, whether it is a construction, whether it is against different concepts. It's farming I'm just dictating. Why? Because we are in the farming. You people want to come up with your own thoughts. This is how the farming has to be. Might be you are not the farmer, okay fine, you are the consumers. Just raise the voice, I don't need the chemical food. I don't need the hybrid seeds food. I don't get into GMO foods. Can't you do this? Is that no? The farmers can raise the voice. I need this type of philosophy. I need this type of farming policy. Can't you do that? Why you are dependent on somebody? Some bureaucracy, some lobbyists to get into farming and exploit the whole process. And that's the reason these type of monkeys are attacking the whole dash. They're attacking. These are getting into CRZPNF. I don't know what is a CRZPNF, climate resilient zero budget natural farming. If you go and study the philosophy, they are getting into monocropping of chili and they will claim that it is CRZPNF. Raising a monocrop of chili by using a hybrid, can you call it as in CRZPNF, climate resilient zero budget natural farming? I don't know why they are calling it. We are giving space for these people. We are the one who are giving the space. I think this is our fault. This is not the fault of those people. This is not the fault of corporates. We are like this, that's the reason they are exploiting. So in that way, we are formulated a draft containing small, I can bring you small tips actually. We concentrate on decentralized thing. Decentralization has to be there. With respect to production, with respect to resources, with respect to market, with respect to rural nutrition, everything has to be decentralized. Just reading Mahatma Gandhi's book doesn't work. You should be follower of it. If you really follow, then it's good. Just don't read simply Swaraj, that, this and double, coming dash and just bombarding, doesn't work. Go to your village. You be one part of Swaraj. Second thing is natural resource conservation. We're all fighting for water. In Tumkur, last week we held something around state level committee meeting. Tumkur, 91% of the total water is for agriculture. 91% of the total water will be consumed by agriculture. And the policy of agriculture is very beautiful in Karnataka. If you raise arcanut in an area receiving a rainfall of 350 to 400 mm like Madhugiri and Sierra, they will give you subsidy. Is that you are promoting arcanut and coconut which loves water in Madhugiri and Sierra where the rainfall is around 350 to 400? Now the farmer should dig the borewell. Exploitation of underground water. I can say Chiknaiknalli. My friend is Mallikarjun. He is from Chiknaiknalli. Chiknaiknalli contributes the second exploited underground water in Karnataka. It stands second, the worst underground water. They are suffering from fluorosis and chlorosis, both. So, is it something about agriculture policy is linked with the medical policy? I think so. You promote the agriculture. You promote all your hybridization theory, chemical theory and all, and farmer will make money. Okay, fine, according to your policy. But what happened to the disease what you are into? Again, you are pumping the money into medical policy. Something like that, it's a vicious cycle. We need to understand. At least we need to understand this. So come up with your own policy matters. It's not Leo is doing that, it's not Vandana Shiva Madam is not doing that, it's not Manjunath who is doing that. It is the people. You come up and just form a policy. You draft it. So majorly focused on pasture. I know something on pastures. Without pastures, you can't do agriculture. Without animals, nothing called forest. Without animals, there are no agriculture plots. So animals are needed. So give importance to your pasture lands. Medical, or whatever your philosophy goes, is medical. Our India is famous for this alternative. We call it alternative medicine. The English medicine should call it as alternative medicine. Now, Ayurvedic has become the alternative medicine. I don't know why. English people should be called as an alternative medicine. Now they are bombarded in such a way that we became the alternative medicine. Okay, can we come up with this medicinal plants in our own plot? The 10% of our agriculture land cannot be given to forest lands. Means forest plots, I'm saying here. Pardon. The 10% of your whole area, 40 gunta of your whole 1 acre, can't 4 gunta of your land be contributed for forest, medicinals, biodiversity, something like that. Birds are fantastic pest control. We are doing it. We are practicing in not less than 500 to 600 acres of area in Tumkur. We are practicing and we are enjoying that. Birds are fantastic pest controllers. There are nothing called fruits in farmer's field. Can't you come up with these type of techniques, traditional techniques? It is possible. Only the thing is we should make ourselves. Definitely we can do wonders. Only the thing is we should stand ourselves. If not, definitely people like this will exploit us. They will make fun of it. They will take. For the grant of 1 or 2% of the people, 95 to 98% got victimized. And majority the farmers. We want to raise our voice.